Every single text message, I want timestamps. It is conspicuous that you are not telling us when this was sent. Because it sounds like it's when the campus is on lockdown and it's got to go back and got to clean up, and then all of a sudden we're in the next day when his dad is getting clued in after the picture.
Charlie's wasn't random. It was scheduled.
Candace Owens' revelation shook the digital world when she appeared live and, in a calm but chilling tone, announced that Elon Musk had once tried to warn Charlie Kirk about his own wife before everything went wrong. There was no humor in her voice, no hesitation in her eyes. Her words were measured, deliberate, and serious. The moment she looked straight into the camera and spoke about something involving Elon, Charlie, and Erica, the air seemed to freeze. It wasn't just another internet rumor. It was a revelation that instantly captured millions of people's attention. The audience could sense something dark and unsettling beneath her words. Her pauses, her heavy breathing, and her unwavering gaze added to the eerie weight of the moment. As she spoke, the live comments section exploded with confusion and fear. People typed frantically, asking what she meant, whether Elon Musk truly knew something, and what exactly she was implying. Within minutes, clips from the live broadcast began circulating across platforms like X, TikTok, and YouTube. Hashtags such as Elon knew and Candace dropped started trending globally. The internet was suddenly consumed with theories and speculations that blurred the line between rumor and reality. It felt as though a collective realization had dawned upon everyone watching. This was no longer a simple online story. Something much deeper was unfolding. Candace had begun her statement by reminding everyone that from the very start of her investigation, she had made it clear there would be no dishonesty or manipulation involved. However, she felt that her warning had not been taken seriously. According to her, there were too many small lies circulating, creating confusion and hiding the truth. She emphasized that after Charlie's assassination, the very people who had once threatened him both reputationally and financially were now trying to glorify him publicly. The hypocrisy of the situation disgusted her. Then, with deliberate precision, she revealed another shocking piece of information. There was confirmed footage showing a woman with the shooter near the scene of the crime, yet the authorities, including the FBI, had neither acknowledged nor released it. Her voice trembled slightly as she said it, as though she had been holding that secret for far too long. That was the point where everything changed. After that revelation, social media erupted like never before. People began dissecting every second of Candace's live broadcast, treating her words as evidence in an unfolding mystery. Screenshots, private messages, audio clips, and alleged files connecting Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, and Erica began circulating online. The entire situation started to feel like a high-budget Netflix documentary. Real, mysterious, and emotionally charged. Candace maintained that Elon's warning wasn't just a casual piece of advice. According to her, he had personally told Charlie to be cautious of those closest to him, suggesting that something in his inner circle felt off. The moment she mentioned the phrase inner circle, her tone shifted. It dropped lower, slower, as if she was withholding something she could not safely say aloud. She described Elon sensing a strange energy, an invisible shift among Charlie's closest companions. Nobody could pinpoint what had triggered Elon's intuition. Some believed it came from private conversations, while others thought an insider had warned him. But what Candace said next captured everyone's attention. She hinted that Elon's suspicion was directed at one person in particular, Erica. Online, speculation surged that Elon had noticed something unusual about Erica's behavior before Charlie's tragic death. There was no direct confirmation, yet no outright denial either, and that uncertainty fueled an endless spiral of theories. Observers began connecting strange details: deleted messages, unexplained private trips, missed meetings, and erratic communication. Slowly, a picture seemed to form. Elon had sensed something was wrong, but no one had imagined that his warning would later appear as the missing key to a maze of secrets. When Candace presented what she claimed was evidence, the internet went into overdrive. X, formerly known as Twitter, became a battlefield of opinions overnight. One group believed Elon was only trying to protect a friend. Another insisted he knew far more than what was being shared publicly. Candace remained calm, refusing to take sides, stating only that what she had revealed was the piece of the puzzle people had been missing all along. Then came the most explosive part of her revelation: a partial screenshot that she called real evidence. The image, she said, was from a private text exchange between Elon Musk and Charlie Kirk. She did not show the complete message, only a cropped portion, But that small glimpse was enough to ignite chaos across every social media platform. Reddit forums were flooded with debates. TikTok users began doing frame-by-frame analyses. And YouTube filled up with detailed breakdown videos from tech analysts and Elon fans alike. According to Candace, Elon's message contained a chilling line. "Not everyone close to you truly wants the best for you." She didn't say who it referred to, but the audience didn't need her to. The implication was already clear in their minds, and Erica's name began appearing repeatedly in the comments. Digital investigators took the case into their own hands, comparing timestamps from the message with Charlie's known schedule. They examined the writing style, punctuation, and even formatting to determine authenticity. Many noticed similarities between the message's tone and Elon's old leaked texts. The online world split into two opposing camps. One camp believed Candace fully, suggesting that she was withholding part of the message only due to legal risks. The other side dismissed it as manipulation, claiming the cropped screenshot was a setup. Through it all, Candace remained composed, repeating that she could not release the full message for legal reasons. Ironically, her restraint only deepened the public's fascination. People began asking why the rest of the message was hidden if there was truly nothing to conceal. Soon, a domino effect took place. Internet users began examining every past interaction between Elon and Charlie. Videos, interviews, and photographs. They scrutinized gestures, glances, even pauses in speech, searching for hidden meaning. What began as gossip had transformed into a digital manhunt for truth. As Candace herself observed, she was no longer just a commentator. She had become the central figure in an online storm. According to her, soon after Elon sent that warning, Charlie began changing. Those who worked closely with him said he seemed distant, preoccupied, and burdened by something he couldn't discuss. The once confident, outspoken Charlie had grown quiet and withdrawn. He canceled meetings at the last moment, turned off his phone for long stretches, and avoided people he had previously trusted completely. Candace said it was as if he were haunted by thoughts too heavy to share. At the same time, Elon Musk appeared to withdraw as well. He reduced his public appearances, avoided interviews, and according to a few close associates, said only that he did not like the direction things were going. His words sounded vague, but in hindsight, they took on new meaning. Online investigators began to wonder if Elon's unease stemmed from foresight or simple intuition born of experience with power and secrecy. Across Reddit, TikTok, and YouTube, amateur sleuths compared Charlie's old videos, analyzing his tone, posture, and even his smile. One viral comment said, "He smiles, but his eyes don't." Thousands agreed, turning minor gestures into evidence of hidden distress. People debated whether his changes were the result of ordinary stress or a sign of something much darker. Candace herself insisted that the energy around Charlie had shifted completely since Elon's warning, saying that he lived in a constant state of alert, torn between belief and fear, wanting to escape but feeling trapped. From that moment, the story grew larger than anyone could control. Hundreds of theories surfaced, some claiming that someone close to Charlie wanted him silenced or manipulated, while others insisted that Elon had tried to help but was ignored. As the mystery deepened, one name kept resurfacing: Erica. Observers noticed her calm demeanor at memorial services and interviews. Her poise seemed almost unnatural to some, too controlled, too precise, and it left people wondering whether that composure hid something deeper. Online comments multiplied, many suggesting that no one could endure such tragedy and remain so calm. It wasn't accusation. It was suspicion born of silence. In a world addicted to spectacle, it was that very silence that felt the most haunting of all. After Candace Owens revealed the full extent of her story, the internet once again erupted in chaos. From small online accounts to major digital outlets, everyone began talking about the mysterious warning Elon Musk had allegedly sent to Charlie Kirk. Discussion threads, group chats, and reaction videos multiplied by the thousands. Within only a few hours, millions of people were asking the same question. If the warning was real, what exactly did Elon see? Hashtags like Elon warned Charlie and what did he know surged across platforms, turning curiosity into an unstoppable global obsession. The story no longer felt like a rumor. It had evolved into a relentless search for truth. Fans, journalists, and even people who had once known Charlie personally began joining the conversation, adding layers to an already tangled mystery. Gradually, those closest to Charlie started speaking up, confirming that something had indeed been strange during his final weeks. Friends described him as quieter and more withdrawn than ever before. The once lively and outspoken Charlie, known for his confidence and humor, seemed distant and weary. One of his colleagues mentioned that he often sat alone in his office, staring at his phone for long stretches as though trapped in deep thought. He would lose focus during meetings, abruptly step out without explanation, and stop sharing his personal plans as he once did. It felt as if he was living in two parallel worlds, one public and visible, the other secret and unreachable. According to one insider, Charlie had stopped letting Erica manage his private calls, something completely out of character. Previously, she had handled all his scheduling and correspondence, but suddenly, he wanted to control everything himself. At the time, his friends assumed he just needed space, but in hindsight, it appeared more deliberate, almost like an attempt to hide or protect something. As more accounts emerged, a clearer pattern began to take shape. A close friend admitted that Elon Musk had genuinely tried to intervene. He said Elon had a strong intuition that something was wrong, an unspoken sense that danger was looming over Charlie. Elon, according to this friend, didn't have concrete evidence but had an uneasy feeling that wouldn't go away. Now, looking back, those close to both men believed that Elon's instincts had been sharper than anyone realized. People started to see the fragments of the story align: the withdrawal, the sudden silence, the cryptic messages, and the tension that lingered between Charlie and those around him. Theories that once sounded like wild internet speculation began to appear disturbingly coherent. The public quickly divided into two camps. One camp believed Charlie had been surrounded by individuals who didn't truly have his best interests at heart. They viewed Elon's warning as a desperate attempt to save his friend from betrayal. The other side dismissed it all as overreaction, suggesting that Charlie's changes in behavior were simply caused by stress or exhaustion. But no matter which side people were on, everyone agreed that something had changed in him. His spark was gone, replaced by a quiet unease. Candace Owens, throughout all of this, remained composed. Her voice never rose. Her expression never turned hysterical. She spoke like someone carrying the burden of truth, someone who had been silent for too long. There was no hunger for attention in her tone, only conviction. When she said, "It's time to speak," people listened. Her words carried a strange power, one that turned what seemed like gossip into something heavier, more consequential. According to those close to her, Candace hadn't just stumbled upon this information. She had spent weeks privately investigating the details, trying to piece together what really happened between Charlie and Erica in the final days before the tragedy. She reviewed reports, interviews, online posts, and timelines. She noticed gaps, details that didn't fit, timestamps that contradicted each other, and messages that seemed to have been deleted or altered. Some text messages didn't match Charlie's usual schedule. Others were sent at hours when he would have been unreachable. To Candace, these inconsistencies couldn't be dismissed as coincidence. The deeper she looked, the more she felt that something had been deliberately hidden. In her quiet but steady tone, she said there was no need for exaggeration or drama because the facts themselves were enough to expose the truth. "They're hiding something," she whispered during one live broadcast, her voice trembling slightly. Not from fear, but from frustration. She wasn't trying to convince anyone. She was simply expressing what she believed without a shred of doubt. People who had seen her personal notes said they contained references to deleted messages that could potentially prove Elon's warning had been real. One of those missing notes allegedly hinted that Elon had sensed something seriously wrong inside Charlie's personal circle. A signal that, tragically, came too late. Candace described Charlie as torn between loyalty and fear. He didn't know who to trust, the friend who warned him or the partner who stood by his side. The true weight of his suffering, she said, came not from the danger itself but from his inability to discern who was telling the truth. That inner conflict, according to her, was what slowly broke him down. Then came the question that no one could ignore. Why was Elon Musk silent? Despite the uproar, despite the endless online speculation, he said nothing. No denial, no clarification, not even a cryptic post. Absolute silence. Those who knew Elon personally claimed that this was typical of him when something cut too close to his emotions. One associate suggested he still felt guilty, believing that he had tried to warn Charlie but hadn't done enough. Another source hinted that Elon feared speaking publicly about the issue might trigger consequences beyond his control. Yet, it was that silence that fueled the world's suspicion even more. In an age where a single tweet can change the course of a story, Elon's refusal to comment made people wonder what truth was being buried. His silence wasn't protective. It was haunting. It made the warning seem real. During the final weeks before the tragedy, small but undeniable signs of turmoil surrounded Charlie. He cancelled important meetings without explanation, took private trips alone, and ended phone conversations abruptly, as if he was afraid of saying too much. A colleague who worked closely with him recalled that Charlie appeared distracted, often staring into space or glancing around nervously, as if he was being watched. It was like he was carrying a secret he couldn't share, the colleague said. Some even believed that he possessed evidence of something happening behind the scenes but had chosen to keep it hidden, perhaps to protect someone or out of fear. That unspoken fear kept the internet talking about him long after his death. The lingering question echoed everywhere. If Elon truly warned him and then stayed silent, what had he seen that made him withdraw completely? And then there was Erica, the woman at the center of the storm. People couldn't stop analyzing her every move, her expressions, and her composure during the aftermath. She didn't appear cold, but there was something too perfect about her calm. Her gestures were precise, her tone gentle, her words measured, as if rehearsed. At Charlie's memorial service, she stood before the audience and spoke with a voice soft as wind. She thanked everyone, said she had forgiven those involved, and walked off without tears or visible grief. There was no anger, no despair, only closure, as if the story had already ended. Candace Owens, who watched every second of the event, said that something in Erica's demeanor felt wrong. The voice of a grieving wife should tremble with emotion, but Erica's didn't.
It sounded final, not fragile.
From that moment, Candace began to question whether Erica had known about Elon's warning all along. Some people suggested that Charlie may have confronted his wife about the message in those last days, which could explain the tense atmosphere between them. Friends noticed awkward silences at dinners, quick phone calls, and distant behavior. Charlie started arriving late to meetings, often avoiding eye contact, his face heavy with exhaustion that went beyond physical fatigue. When Candace later recounted all this, she didn't accuse anyone directly. She simply asked one question: why stay silent if there's nothing to hide? That single question spread across the internet like wildfire. Because sometimes, in the quiet spaces between words, truth hides most effectively. Erica's silence, once seen as grace, now appeared ominous. It felt less like peace and more like the weight of an unspoken secret waiting to break free.
The word cold sense it, attention beneath her calm exterior, a quietness too deliberate to be innocent.
In the weeks that followed Candace Owens' explosive revelations, the atmosphere across social media turned darker and heavier. What had begun as whispers about a mysterious warning had now evolved into a full-blown digital inquest. Every clip, every photograph, and every archived interview involving Charlie Kirk, Elon Musk, and Erica was dissected by online investigators desperate to uncover the missing pieces. Commentators uploaded hour-long analyses comparing timelines, highlighting inconsistencies, and speculating on motives. Podcasts dedicated entire episodes to the theory that Charlie's downfall had not been accidental at all, but rather the result of something orchestrated. The story had escaped control. It wasn't just gossip anymore. It had become a cultural phenomenon, a haunting mystery pulling millions into its orbit. Candace Owens, meanwhile, continued her investigation. Each time she spoke, she released just enough information to reignite the frenzy. She claimed to have found messages that proved Elon had warned Charlie directly, using carefully chosen words that implied danger without stating it outright. The alleged texts were said to be deleted soon after, but fragments remained through screenshots and metadata. According to her, these fragments indicated that Elon had sent more than one message, as though he had grown increasingly alarmed. The tone changed from casual concern to urgent pleading. People who saw the partial screenshots described them as deeply unsettling, short, tense phrases like, "Don't trust her," and "You're not safe right now." None of this could be verified, but the suggestion alone was enough to shatter the illusion of coincidence. The silence that followed those texts, Candace insisted, was the sound of a man realizing the danger too late. As journalists and independent researchers began digging deeper, they uncovered traces of hidden communications between Erica and certain unnamed figures connected to the industry. Payments, encrypted emails, and anonymous accounts came to light. Pieces of evidence that didn't directly prove wrongdoing but certainly didn't fit the innocent narrative either. Those findings fueled the suspicion that Charlie's demise might not have been the tragic accident it was claimed to be. The public grew obsessed, demanding accountability and pushing for authorities to reopen the case. Forums filled with people who swore they had inside knowledge, though none could prove it. Candace, rather than backing down under pressure, doubled down. She said that truth had already begun to leak through the cracks and that those who thought they had buried it would soon face consequences. Her words sent chills through audiences who felt they were witnessing something much larger than an isolated tragedy. Meanwhile, Elon Musk's continued silence loomed like a shadow over the entire narrative. The man who had once tweeted freely and fearlessly now refused to say a single word about the matter. His quietness became louder than any statement could have been. Some believed his lawyers had advised him to stay out of it. Others thought he was bound by something deeper. Perhaps an understanding that speaking the truth could endanger others. Even without proof, people sensed he carried guilt. His recent public appearances showed a noticeable change. Fewer smiles, shorter responses, and a kind of distracted distance in his eyes. Observers noted that when Charlie's name was mentioned in interviews, Elon's expression hardened, and he swiftly redirected the conversation. That avoidance, subtle yet consistent, became its own confirmation for many. On the other hand, Erica maintained her calm facade. She continued to attend public events, carefully choosing her words whenever asked about her late husband. She insisted she wanted peace, not chaos. But to many, her tone felt detached, rehearsed, and sterile. Videos of her interviews were slowed down and analyzed frame by frame, with online sleuths pointing out micro-expressions they claimed revealed deception. Small smirks, delayed eye blinks, unnatural pauses. Her silence, which once seemed like composure, now looked more like self-protection. Rumors surfaced that she had quietly moved funds, sold property, and distanced herself from mutual friends who had known Charlie closely. One journalist described her as a woman living in quiet retreat, surrounded by whispers and wealth. Candace, by contrast, refused to retreat. She began releasing more evidence. Handwritten notes, partial message logs, and recordings she claimed were from trusted sources. None were complete, but all carried the same tone of warning and unease. She narrated the story as a puzzle where every piece pointed back to a single truth. Someone had known too much, and someone else had made sure that knowledge never surfaced. Her delivery was calm, methodical, and eerily convincing. She wasn't asking for sympathy. She was demanding accountability. Each time she spoke, her words echoed across millions of screens, spreading both fear and fascination. Then came the broadcast that shook everyone. In one of her final statements on the matter, Candace claimed to possess a voice recording between Charlie and a close confidant, allegedly captured days before the tragedy. The recording, she said, revealed Charlie acknowledging Elon's warning but admitting he didn't know whom to trust. "If I speak," he reportedly said, "it won't be me who pays the price." That single line, even without verification, sent shockwaves through the public. Analysts, commentators, and fans all fixated on those 9 words, treating them as the final clue to a puzzle no one could complete. It wasn't about conspiracy anymore. It was about fear, silence, and the unbearable cost of knowing the truth. In the days after that revelation, online sentiment shifted from curiosity to sorrow. The image of Charlie Kirk, once seen as a confident public figure, now appeared tragic and human. A man cornered by forces he couldn't control. Hashtags demanding justice flooded the platforms again, this time tinged with empathy instead of anger. People began revisiting his old videos and tweets, searching for hidden meanings, rereading his final posts as if every word might contain a clue. The internet had turned his memory into both a shrine and a battlefield. Those who believed in Candace's version of events viewed her as a warrior for truth. Those who doubted her saw her as someone haunted by obsession. Despite the chaos, one fact stood undeniable. Something in this story had shaken people to their core. Whether the theories were true or not, they exposed a disturbing reality about influence, power, and secrecy in modern society. It showed how easily trust could be weaponized and how quickly truth could be buried beneath noise. Elon's silence, Erica's composure, and Candace's persistence formed a triangle of mystery that refused to break apart. Each person embodied a different reaction to tragedy: regret, denial, and defiance. By the time weeks turned into months, public interest began to wane, but the unease never completely faded. The footage, the interviews, and the words, especially those 9 haunting words, remained etched in people's minds. Candace eventually announced that she was stepping away from the topic, saying only, "I've said what I needed to say. The rest is for time to reveal." With that, she closed her investigation, but the echoes of her words continued to reverberate across the internet. For many, the story had no clear ending, only an unsettling realization that silence, whether chosen or forced, often speaks louder than confession. As time moved forward, new controversies replaced the old, but this story lingered like a shadow that refused to dissolve. The questions it raised still hovered in quiet corners of online discussions. Did Elon truly know something? Was Erica's calmness guilt or grief? Did Candace uncover the truth, or merely chase ghosts created by grief and suspicion? No one could answer with certainty. All that remained were fragments, warnings sent too late, secrets buried too deep, and the haunting knowledge that somewhere between silence and revelation lies the thin, fragile line we call truth.